Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Friends, tonight we are going to discuss another very important discourse of the Buddha. This is Indriya Bhavana Sutta from the Majjhima Nikaya, middle length teachings of the Buddha. This is about the supreme development of the faculties. This is not a mere development of faculties, but supreme development of faculties. Why it is called supreme development? It is unsurpassable. No development of faculties above that. Development is what we call bhavana in Pali. Bhavana, development. There are many different kinds of development. Buddha has recommended us to develop this mind, develop faculties, spiritual faculties, spiritual powers, develop establishments of mindfulness, satipatthana, develop the 7 factors of enlightenment. You know, according to the Satipatthana Sutta, the 4th component, which is Dhammanupassana, we see there are, as the Buddha said, 7 factors are to be developed, 12 bases are to be developed. Then the 4 noble truths. In the 4 noble truths, the 4th truth is the Eightfold Path, which is to be developed. Once, when a certain Brahmin went to see the Buddha, Buddha taught him about the Buddha, where the Buddha said, Abhiññayang abhiññātam. I comprehended what is to be comprehended. Bhāve tabbanca bhavitam. I developed what is to be developed. I developed what is to be developed. Pahatabbang pahinang. What is to be abandoned, I abandoned it. Tasma buddhosmi brahmana. Therefore, I am a Buddha. That is how the Buddha introduced him to that Brahmayu. Friends, this discourse we are going to discuss, understand this discourse. Majjhima Nikaya 152 discourse, which is the last one of the Majjhima Nikaya. You know, there are 152 different discourses. This is the last one. Let's understand what it is. Once, while the Buddha was dwelling at a place called Kajangala in a grove of Mukhelu trees, where a certain student, a pupil of the Brahmin Parasarya was the famous teacher by the time. His pupil Uttara came to see the Buddha. When he came to see the Buddha, he greeted the Buddha. After exchanging greetings, it is said here, when this courteous and amicable talk was finished, he sat down at one side. Now this person, this young man, student, came to the Buddha, respected and sat aside. Then the Buddha asked Uttara, does the Brahmin Parasarya teach his disciples the development of the faculties? Now the Buddha wanted to understand whether this teacher, Parasarya, whether he is teaching the development of faculties. He asked this pupil of Parasarya, Uttara. When asked whether he is teaching the development of faculties, he said, the student said, he does, Master Gautama. He teaches. Then Buddha asked, but Uttara, how does he teach his disciples the development of faculties? This is how Uttara, the student said, how his teacher teaches the development of faculties. Here, Master Gautama, one does not see forms with the eye. That is the way. That is the way to practice. One should not see anything through the eyes. That is his teaching. Parasarya's teaching. One does not see forms with the eye. You cannot see anything through the eye. One does not hear sounds with the ear. You can't hear anything with the ear. That is how the Brahmin Parasarya teaches his disciples the development of faculties. That is what Uttara, the student, said. Then the Buddha said, if that is so, Uttara, then a blind man and a deaf man will have developed faculties. Because they can't see, they can't hear. So they are the most well-developed, those who have well-developed faculties, blind and deaf. According to what the Brahmin Parasarya say, for a blind man does not see forms with the eye, and a deaf man does not hear sounds with the ear. When this was said, the Brahmin student Uttara, Parasarya's pupil, sat silent, dismayed, with shoulders drooping and head down, glum and without response. He became like dumb. Then, knowing this, the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Ananda. Ananda, the Brahmin Parasarya teaches his disciples the development of faculties in one way. But in the Noble One's discipline, what is Noble One's discipline is the Buddha Sasana, the dispensation of the Buddha. Noble One's discipline, the supreme development of the faculties is otherwise. Supreme development of faculties, Anuttara Indriya Bhavana. Supreme development of faculties means Anuttara, not going beyond. It's at the end. Supreme development of the faculties is a different one. That is what the Buddha said. Now, then Venerable Ananda said, Venerable Sir, addressing, he said, now is the time, Blessed One, now is the time, Blessed One, for the Blessed One to teach the supreme development of the faculties in the Noble One's discipline. Having heard it from the Blessed One, the bhikkhus will remember it. That is how Venerable Ananda invited Buddha to teach the supreme development of the faculties. Then listen, Ananda, and attend closely to what I shall say. Yes, Venerable Sir, he replied. The Blessed One said this. This is the Buddha's explanation of the supreme development of the faculties. Now, Ananda, how is there the supreme development of the faculties in the Noble One's discipline? Here, Ananda, when a bhikkhu means, please understand, bhikkhu means not only the monks. Bhikkhu means the practitioner, the meditator. When a bhikkhu, the term bhikkhu is given here, though understand that bhikkhu, when it is said bhikkhu, understand is the meditator, the practitioner. Sees a form with the eye. There arises in him what is agreeable, there arises what is disagreeable, there arises what is both agreeable and disagreeable. Now, the practitioner, any practitioner, fourfold Sangha, bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, upasaka, upasika, whoever, the practitioner, when he sees a form with the eye, there arises in him what is agreeable, what is happiness, agreeable, what is disagreeable, and there arises what is both agreeable or disagreeable, agreeable and disagreeable. Three types of thoughts. Whenever he sees the form, then he understands thus, there has arisen in me what is agreeable, there has arisen with what is disagreeable, there has arisen what is both agreeable and disagreeable. This is the practice. This is the way to practice. He has to understand the form. What is the form? Form means not the form out there in the world. Form means the image that we take from the external object. The form itself is within the eye. That is the form. That is what is called form aggregate. When we see the form, according to the Buddha's teaching of the supreme development of the faculties, the practitioner should understand that form as whether it is agreeable, disagreeable, or both. He should understand that. Now, but that is condition. This is what where you to understand that this is something conditioned. Something conditioned means something formed, conditioned, something created. This is something gross, something fragile, something dependently arisen. That is how one has to apply. When you see the object, you have to understand this itself is something formed, something conditioned, something created, which is gross, something fragile, something dependently arisen. That is to be understood. When we have that consciousness, when we have that understanding, then what happens? Then there arises the important thing. What is that? This is peaceful, This is sublime. That is equanimity. Equanimity arises there. Equanimity arises there. That is the most important thing. Equanimity. Equanimity is the important thing. In the I, the agreeable that arose, the disagreeable that arose, and the both agreeable and disagreeable that arose cease in him. Where? Whether agreeable, disagreeable, or both, it ceases there. And equanimity is established there. Not mere arising, but established. Equanimity is established there. Quickly it happens, quickly. That is the practice. That is how the meditator should do. That is the supreme development of faculty of I. We have 6 faculties: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. These 6 are to be trained, are to be restrained, are to be developed in such a way. The Buddha then gave a simile, how quickly the equanimity established. To show this, the Buddha gave a simile. Just as a man with good sight, having opened his eyes, might shut them, or having shut his eyes, might open them so quickly, so too concerning anything at all, the agreeable that arose, the disagreeable that arose, and the both agreeable and disagreeable that arose cease just as quickly, just as rapidly, just as easily, and equanimity is established. This is called the Noble One's discipline, the supreme development of the faculties regarding forms cognizable by the I. Friends, that is how the I is to be restrained. I is to be developed. This faculty of I should be developed. It is a supreme development. Now, the ear also the same. A bhikkhu, when hears a sound with the ear, there arises in him what is agreeable, what is disagreeable, and what is both agreeable and disagreeable. When it is arising, whatever arises, he has to understand in such a way that it is something formed, something gross, something easily breakable, something dependently arisen. That is the way to understand. Then they are established equanimity. Equanimity is established. Now the Buddha gave another simile to understand how quickly the equanimity is established in the ear. Just as a strong man might easily snap his fingers, snapping of fingers, so too concerning anything at all, the agreeable that arose, the disagreeable that arose, and the both agreeable and disagreeable that arose cease just as quickly, just as rapidly, just as easily, and equanimity is established. This is called the Noble One's discipline, the supreme development of the faculties regarding sounds cognizable by the ear. Now, smell. When a bhikkhu smells an odor with the nose, there arises in him what is agreeable, what is disagreeable, or both agreeable or disagreeable, where he has to understand that there is something formed, something created, something constructed, and something fragile, gross, and dependently arisen. That is to be understood. When he or she can understand that, equanimity arises and established. How quick? The Buddha gave a simile. Just as raindrops on a slightly sloping lotus leaf roll off and do not remain there. When the raindrops drop on the lotus leaf, which is slightly slanting, sloping, quickly it rolls off, do not remain. So too, concerning anything at all, the agreeable that arose, the disagreeable that arose, and both agreeable and disagreeable that arose cease just as quickly, just as rapidly, just as easily, and equanimity is established. This is called, in the Noble One's discipline, the supreme development of the faculties regarding odors cognizable by the nose. Then differential flavor, taste and flavor. When a bhikkhu tastes a flavor with the tongue, then there arises what is agreeable, what is disagreeable, what is both agreeable and disagreeable. Whenever such things arises, he or she has to understand clearly that this itself is something created, something formed, something constructed. Sankatang, etang sankatang. This is something gross, olarikang. Dependently arisen, paticca samuppanna. That is the way to understand. Then what happens? Equanimity is established there. How quickly? Just as a strong man might easily spit out a ball of spittle collected on the tip of his tongue, saliva. Strong man, collects some spittle with the tip of his tongue and spit it out so quickly. So too, concerning anything at all, the agreeable that arose, the disagreeable that arose, and the both agreeable and disagreeable that arose cease just as quickly, just as rapidly, just as easily, and equanimity is established. This is called, in the Noble One's discipline, the supreme development of the faculties regarding flavors cognizable by the tongue. Now, when a bhikkhu touches a tangible with the body, there arises in him what is agreeable, there arises what is disagreeable, there arises what is both agreeable and disagreeable. He understands this. He understands this. This is something formed, something conditioned, something fragile, gross, something dependently arisen. Then equanimity is established quickly. As what? The Buddha gave the simile. Just as a strong man might extend his flexed arm or flex his extended arm, so too, concerning anything at all, the agreeable that arose, the disagreeable that arose, and the both agreeable and disagreeable that arose cease just as quickly, just as rapidly, just as easily, and equanimity is established. This is called, in the Noble One's discipline, the supreme development of the faculties regarding tangibles cognizable by the body. Then the last one, by the mind. When a bhikkhu cognizes a mind object with the mind, there arises in him what is agreeable, there arises what is disagreeable, there arises what is both agreeable and disagreeable. He understands thus that it is something formed, something created, something conditioned, gross, and dependently arisen. And then what happens? Equanimity is established there with a clear understanding. That happens because you can understand it clearly that there is nothing to grasp, there is nothing to repel, there is nothing to cling to. With that, equanimity is established. That is the meaning. Just like what? Just as if a man were to let 2 or 3 drops of water fall onto an iron plate heated for a whole day. Suppose the iron plate is heating throughout the day. Some drops of water, you drop some water on it. The falling of the drops might be slow, but they would quickly vaporize and vanish quickly. It happens quickly. So too concerning anything at all, the agreeable that arose, the disagreeable that arose, and both agreeable and disagreeable that arose cease just as quickly, just as rapidly, just as easily, and equanimity is established. This is called, in the Noble One's discipline, the supreme development of the faculties regarding ideas cognizable by the mind. Friends, that is how the Buddha taught this supreme development of the faculties in the Noble One's discipline. Then the Buddha said, and how Ananda is one a disciple in higher training, one who has entered upon the way. Now those 6 were given to understand how a meditator should practice. Normal meditator. How to practice it. That is for us, for all of us. Now the Buddha teaches us how the disciple in higher training, who's this? The disciple in higher training. Who were the disciples? Practicing, undergoing the training. They are called trainees. Seekha. Those who have entered the path as stream enterers, then once returners and non-returners. They are the disciples in higher training. How do they practice? Here Ananda, the Buddha said, here Ananda, when a bhikkhu sees a form with the eye, hears a sound with the ear, smells an odor with the nose, tastes a flavor with the tongue, touches tangible with the body, cognizes a mind object with the mind, there arises in him what is agreeable, there arises what is disagreeable, there arises what is both agreeable and disagreeable. for such a person, practitioner, who knows the Dhamma, who has seen the true men, who has undergone the discipline of the noble ones. Such a person, how he practices. He is ashamed of seeing such things, humiliated and disgusted by the agreeable that arose, by the disagreeable that arose, and by the both agreeable and disagreeable that arose. That is how one is a disciple in higher training, one who has entered upon the way. That is how the practitioner in higher training practices this. And then the Buddha said, the noble ones, the arahants, and how Ananda is a noble one with developed faculties. Their training is over. Their faculties are well developed. They are the enlightened ones. What is their response when they see the objects, when they hear the objects, like that? 6 senses. How do they respond? Here Ananda, when a bhikkhu sees a form with the eye, hears a sound with the ear, smells an odor with the nose, tastes a flavor with the tongue, touches a tangible with the body, cognizes a mind object with the mind, there arises in him what is agreeable, there arises what is disagreeable, there arises what is both agreeable and disagreeable. If he should wish, may I abide perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive. That is his wish. May I abide perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive. He abides perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive. If he should wish, may I abide perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive. He abides perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive. If he should wish, may I abide perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive and unrepulsive. He abides perceiving the unrepulsive in that. If he should wish, may I abide perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive and the repulsive. He abides perceiving the repulsive in that. If he should wish, may I avoid in both the repulsive and unrepulsive, abide in equanimity, mindful and fully aware. He abides in equanimity towards that, mindful and fully aware. That is how one is a noble one with developed faculties. Finally, the Buddha said, so Ananda, the supreme development of the faculties in the noble one's discipline has been taught by me. The disciple in higher training who has entered upon the way has been taught by me. And the noble one with developed faculties has been taught by me. What should be done for his disciples out of compassion by a teacher who seeks their welfare and has compassion for them, that I have done for you, Ananda. There are these roots of trees, these empty huts. Meditate, Ananda. Do not delay, or else you will regret it later. This is our instruction to you. So this instruction is not to Venerable Anand, to all of us. The Buddha's kind, compassionate instruction is this. There are trees, these roots of trees, empty huts, empty places, empty houses. Meditate, do not delay, or else what would happen? Or else you will regret it later. This is our instruction to you. The Buddha said, this is not my instruction. Buddha did not say, this is my instruction, but Buddha said, this is our instructions to you. So, friends, let's all understand this wonderful teaching of the Buddha. Let's heed to this Buddha's instruction. Let's all understand the Dhamma clearly and practice this Dhamma so that we can understand, we can realize this real peace, real happiness of Nibbana. May we all realize real peace, real happiness of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So that is the discourse. This is how to practice meditation. Now we can understand, we can discuss about this. So if you have questions, you can ask now.
Yes, Bhante, I have a question. Could you explain the mind object? Because it seems to me that everything is mind object, because the form, you said the form is the internal form. Isn't that also the mind object?
Mind object means your thoughts.
Or the thought?
Yeah. Now, we have 6 sense bases. Of the 6 sense bases, in daily life, while we are working, walking, doing this, that, we think something with the support of the external object. When you see the object, when you see or when you hear, when you see the object, through that object you take the image, that is called form of form. Then likewise you have the sound, the form of sound, the form of smell, the form of taste, the form of tangibles, the form of tangible. These 5. In our daily life, we have these forms. That form we feel. What we feel, that we perceive, we recognize. What we recognize, then we start to evaluate it. We give value for that. We think whether this is good or bad. That is our volitional formation. Volitional formations. So like that, we have 4 things here. Form, feeling, perception and volitional formations. These 4 are the basic things. These 4 are called station of consciousness. Consciousness is all the time connected to these 4 things. These are called stations of consciousness. Vijnana Thiti in Pali, Vijnana Thiti. Now, these 4, when they arise, the consciousness detect them clearly, understand as they are, without any difference, without any discrimination, our consciousness detect them, understand them, understanding, knowing them. That is the task of the consciousness there. So all these happen in the eye, in the ear, in the nose, in the tongue, in the body, and in the mind. What time this comes to the mind, the objects, whenever we start to think, pondering, when we start to ponder, we are thinking of certain things. Sometimes you close your eyes and thinking. Where the mind objects is in function. And when you go to bed at night, you dream. Again, mind objects there. You are dreaming because with the support of what you gain, what you received through your five senses, at night you are dreaming with those things. That is what happened. That is what is called mental object. Dhamma. That is called Dhamma.
So,
can you understand?
Yes. Thank you, Bhante. So then the practice is when the thought arises, we recognize and we let go. Don't grasp it.
Right.
But
we have to let go.
But then how do we go about planning? We have to function in our life. We have to function. Say we have to go to work. We have to cook.
Yeah.
All that.
All these are to be done by ourselves. Nobody else going to do this for us. So in Buddhism there is no prohibition for this. We can do all these things, but whenever thoughts arise with the stimuli, we have to understand that thought. What are the thoughts? Thoughts are what you call sankhara. That is what is said, volitional formations. Volitionally we have acquired many things. We have acquired sensual thought. These are called discursive thoughts of sensuality. Kama vitakka. Vitakka means discursive thoughts. Kama vitakka. Then discursive thoughts of ill will. Vyapada vitakka. Then there is another one called discursive thoughts of cruelty. These are the three types of formations. Discursive thought arise. And not only that, we have done bad deeds, which are called apunyabhisankhara. Apunyabhisankhara, volitional formations of demeritorious things, demeritorious done. Then there are meritorious things, punyabhisankhara. What is volitional formations of wholesome deeds. We have only these two, but there is another one which is called volitional formations of jhanic result. Jhanic results also. So these are apunyabhisankhara, punyabhisankhara and ananjabhisankhara. These sankhara, these volitional formations pop up from time to time. These are also to be understood. When we see this, first we have to identify it. We have to identify. Once we identify what should be done, we have to label it, we have to understand it, and we have to cut it off, let it go, not to grab, not to grasp. If you grasp, how do you grasp it? You grasp it as mine, me, and myself. With that, you build up your self-identity. You build up your personality belief, through which you are bound to samsara. Understand?
Yes, I see. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I understand now.
Any other?
Yes, Bhante, can I have a question? About the meditation?
Yeah.
Like you guys, like last today, feel a short time of meditation. For example, today you guys to meditation and breathing, right? So, then the purpose is then we can calm down, more stabilized, and can listen to the Dhamma, right? So I have a question. Do we, for to sit down meditation like this, do we also follow like Vitaka and Vichara, Bhante, like applying talk and sustain talk? We still apply that, right? We still follow that, right?
That is a very good question. You know, without concentration, without serenity, Buddha did not teach insight, vipassana. Buddha's teaching of vipassana is together with concentration, serenity. In order to develop serenity, it is better you practice metta, either metta or mindfulness of breathing, or even the qualities of the Buddha. And there is another one which is awareness of death. When you practice this for some time, for about 10-15 minutes, you can develop your concentration. With that concentration, you can understand what this I is, what the form is, what is the connectivity. These are, you see, all these are mental. 5 aggregates are not physical. Form, feeling, perception, volitional formation, and consciousness. All these 5 are arising and passing in the eye, in the ear, in the nose, in the tongue, in the body, and in the mind. Mental. That is why the Buddha said, when the Buddha explained how this birth takes place, Buddha said, Khandanam patu bhavo, ayatananam patilabo. That is what is called birth. Khandanam patu bhava means manifesting of skandha, manifesting of 5 aggregates. So 5 aggregates are not born. Khandanam patu bhava means that. Patu bhava, they all 5 aggregates are rising and passing. Not only 5 aggregates, in the eye, there arise the 4 noble truths, the dependent origination, the 3 characteristics of existence, the remainderless cessation of karma. All these arise and pass within the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. These are the places, these are the 6 faculties through which we have to understand the real Dhamma, not through this body. This body is only a boat, only a ship to cross. This is the canoe, this is a boat, just to cross the sansaric flood. So we have to understand the Dhamma within this, but none of this is physical. All these are mental. All these are to be understood through our wisdom. That is why the Buddha said, develop your wisdom, develop your faculties, develop your 37 factors of enlightenment. The other day we talked about the 37 factors of enlightenment which the Buddha taught us towards the end of his life. Addressing the monks, the Buddha said, monks, the Dhamma that I have realized and proclaimed should be thoroughly learnt by you, practiced by you for the benefit of many multitudes. Then Buddha said, what are the Dhamma? I realized the 37 factors of enlightenment. The 4 establishment of mindfulness, 4 right efforts, 4 roads to power, 5 spiritual faculties, 5 spiritual powers, 7 factors of enlightenment, and the Noble Eightfold Path. There are 37. All these are to be developed, to be understood through the 6 sense bases. These are not in books, not in the library.
Bhante, I try to understand, correct me if I'm wrong, or we can expand it better, the concept of form or rupa, it's not the external object, as you have said. I try to think in terms of, from scientific point of view, like the light waves or the sound waves or whatever, or the vibrations you feel in the nose or the tongue or the body, which results in creating an image within our object, within the eye or within the ear, etc. And this is the one that continues on as Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sanskara, and of course the eye consciousness, muscle, the contact, and whatever. Is that a way of, because with modern science we know about these light waves and sound waves and all the forms of energy. So I try to understand it with that in mind. Is that okay to think that way?
No, those are external forms which were formed with 4 elements.
Yeah, but we are talking of the energy. We are not talking of...
Everything is energy. Everything is energy.
Yes.
So, external things, when you see the object, you to understand external things have no feelings, external physicality. No feeling, no perception, no volitional formation, no consciousness there.
Yeah, but the light waves are the ones...
Light waves have no consciousness. Light waves are light.
No, I know. But it's the one that creates sensitive in the retina.
That is how you see
the vibration, yes.
That light comes to our eye. With the support of light, we see the object. In order to see the object, when there is the object, light, when the light hits the object, it's glittering. With that light waves comes to our eye. When it comes to our eye, it goes all the way goes to our retina. Where there is the place called most sensitive part of the eye, which is called pasada rupa. Pasada rupa. It is the form which is called pasada, right? So the light comes to the eye. When it comes to the eye, there creates an image in the eye. Image is the external object. The external one is called image. The image that you make inside is called a reflection, pratibimba.
And also they call it eye consciousness, right?
What is that?
Consciousness.
Eye
consciousness in English.
Eye consciousness is there at the most important, most sensitive part in the eye. Without eye consciousness, you cannot see the object.
Right.
So, in order to see the object, not only eye consciousness, you have to have that. When you have to understand that the object should come to the range.
Right.
When it comes to the range, then if it is something glittering, then the light comes to your eye. with that you understand with your eye consciousness. Then you recognize it. That recognition is called perception. Perception is because of eye consciousness. Right? So the form is inside, not outside. Outside forms are there. It is true. That is what is called material world. But material world you don't see feeling, perception, volitional formation and consciousness. These four aggregates are not in the external physical things.
From mentality.
No mentality.
Not materiality.
They are material. External objects are materials.
External objects, but the other one. The other one, the Vedana, Sanya, Sanskara, they are mental.
They are mental, but they are not outside. Mental things are inside, not outside. That is what I said. Understand?
Yeah. But I found that the concept of energy, even the
energy, all what you call energy, even mental energy, physical energy, we have all things energy. In the whole system of the world, everything is energy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, you're welcome. Right, so friends, time up. Let's wind up for today. You can join next day. So thank you very much for your participation. And as we got together, we observed precepts and meditated and listened to the Dhamma discussion. By doing all these good deeds, we acquire a great deal of merit. We share this merit with our dearly departed relatives and the Devas. May all our dearly departed relatives rejoice this merit. May all Devas rejoice this merit. May we all attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.